Morning. I hope you're having a lovely day. So today we're in Scotland, and right over my shoulder is Dunnottar Castle. Let's go check it out. Dunnottar Castle stands in one of Scotland's most dramatic locations, on a rocky landhead jutting out into the Northern Sea. The surrounding regions, known as the Marnes, is a historic county to the east of the Grampian Mountains, just south of the town of Stonehaven. Strategically positioned at the narrowest point between the mountains and the sea, Dunnottar acted as a fortified gateway which could not be easily defeated. The rock on which the castle stands is a conglomerate known as pudding stone. It consists of large rocks and pebbles and sand which create a firm foundation for building fortifications. The rock was once linked to the mainland by a narrow strip of land which has since been removed by hand to increase the defensive aspects of the castle. Two large flights of stairs, one down and one up, now lead to the only entryway to the castle through the main gate. The earliest records indicate that the rock on which Dunnottar Castle was built was first occupied as early as the 5th century. However, it was in the 1390s where the first stone castle was built by Sir William Keith, the Grand Marshal of Scotland. The castle built by Sir William Keith was built on a site that the Catholic Church considered sacred. As such, the church excommunicated him, barring him from entering into heaven. In the year 1394, Sir William appealed to the Pope, who granted him favor as long as Sir William Keith paid proper compensation. Visitors to Dunnottar Castle must book tickets online, as tickets are not sold at the site. They are, however, verified via your cell phone. We visited Dunnottar midweek in the morning. At that time, there were few other visitors at the castle. However, as we were leaving in midday, other visitors were starting to show up and it was starting to get crowded. Although in ruins today, Dunnottar Castle has a long and storied history. William Wallace, Mary Queen of Scots, and the future King Charles II all graced the castle with their presence. Walking around Dunnottar Castle, it is easy to envision its history, the centuries of lives lived at the site. Although castles and fortified forts represent a harder period, times of war and intrigue, it is possible to envision the periods of peace. There were some who would have lived their entire lives in peace. There are also those who lived their entire lives at Dunnottar, and during their lives, they would have faced trials and tribulations for sure, but there would also have been quiet moments of peace. Dunnottar is a beautiful 15th century castle. Here we're standing inside of the kitchen area. Behind me is the hearth, what remains of the hearth. You can see that. As we explored the lower levels of the castle, it was also easy to imagine the lives of the workers, the peasantry, those who will have spent their lives working in these small rooms, cooking, caring, mending, and providing. The memory of the little people is also important, as the castle would not have survived without them. When we look back at history, it is common to remember the turbulent times, war, famine, and intrigue. And Dunnottar Castle was a part of many of those events in its history, but we tend to overlook the times of peace. As I stood on the walls of Dunnottar and looked out over the sea, I was seeing the same sea that the greats of Scottish history saw in their time. It was comforting to know that for centuries, people had stood where I stood, and at some point they thought the same thing that I was thinking, that this is a beautiful view. a beautiful land, and a beautiful country. So as we exited the bowels of Dunnottar Castle, walking through a room that I knew that had a treacherous history, I decided to focus more on those times of which I've spoken, the peaceful times, the better times. People ask me why do I take my children to visit castles and monuments. Partly is because I'm interested in castles and monuments. And also because I want my children to have a better understanding of the history of the world in which they live.
No.
History is the foundation of the present, and the present is the gateway to the future. Okay, here we go. What do you think of this castle?
It's amazing.
What do you think?
It's fun. Interesting.
I want to live in it.
So, Dunnottar Castle is beautiful, but I have to warn you now, the steps are no joke. You have to be physically fit, you have to be agile, you have to have on the proper shoes. Make sure you have on shoes that are closed-toed, no heels. The steps are slick, and it can be a bit dangerous and quite treacherous in certain places. But a beautiful castle to behold. If you get the opportunity to visit, I still highly encourage it. Even if you only come to this point, you can see the castle from here. There's a bluff, and you can make out the castle from the bluff. But if you have the physical fitness to kind of go down those steps and climb up the other side, you can definitely appreciate it when you can walk through it. But it's in the video, you can see the pictures, zoom back through, you can see what we saw on the inside. So if you get that opportunity, definitely come out. Dunnottar Castle, well worth it.